Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Up Girl podcast. I'm your host, Zach Randall-Friedman. This is your LGBTQ plus news for Friday, May 22nd. We're covering a disturbing arrest that has rocked the conversion therapy world, the passing of a political trailblazer, major funding news out of the UK, a star-studded awards announcement, and so much more. Let's get into it with Alan Chambers arrested. We begin with breaking news that is deeply disturbing and for many in our community also deeply unsurprising. Alan Manning Chambers, the former president of Exodus International, once the largest and most well-known so-called ex-gay ministry in the United States, has been arrested in Orlando and charged with soliciting sex from a minor. According to Orange County court documents, Chambers was arrested by Orlando police and charged with solicitation of a minor via computer, sending harmful material to a minor, and illegal use of a two-way communication device. Here's what investigators say happened. A detective posed as a 14-year-old boy on Snapchat and was contacted by somebody identifying himself as a 50-year-old man named John David. According to local television reporting, the conversation eventually moved to Telegram and text messages and continued for several months. Investigators say the linked phone number, Telegram account, and Snapchat profile were used by John David back to Chambers. Police say Chambers told them he believed he was speaking with someone who was 14, but then refused to answer further questions. Detectives also alleged that John David suggested meeting the person he believed to be a 14-year-old in April of this year, and when he claimed he'd been pulled over and couldn't make it, he allegedly suggested the teenager take an Uber to his office. Chambers was arrested on Tuesday, May 19th. Now, for context on who Alan Chambers is, for decades, Exodus International was the most prominent network of ex-gay ministers in the country, frequently cited in political and religious debates around LGBTQ plus rights. Chambers became one of the most recognizable public faces of the so-called change movement, but in 2012, notably, he publicly renounced conversion therapy and stated he did not believe cure was an applicable concept for homosexuality. Exodus International closed in 2013 after nearly 37 years of operation. Chambers later appeared at a Pride event and then delivered 2 sermons in the Washington National Cathedral during Capitol Pride in 2016. This story is going to continue to develop, and we'll keep you updated as we get more details. Next, Barney Frank has died. From disturbing news to heartbreaking news, we are mourning a true giant today. Barney Frank, the pioneering gay politician who reshaped what LGBTQ looks like in America government, has died at the age of 86. Frank died Tuesday at his home in Maine after entering hospice care with congestive heart failure. Frank became the first gay member of Congress to voluntarily come out when he publicly declared his sexuality orientation in 1987. The single act of courage changed the landscape of what was possible for LGBTQ plus people in public life. In 2012, at the age of 72, he married Jim Reddy and became the first member of Congress to marry someone of the same sex. And throughout his career, he made it a point to insist that his male partner be included in all events where other representative spouses were welcome. He didn't ask for special treatment. He simply insisted on equal treatment. And he did it quietly, consistently, and effectively. He told the Boston Globe that prejudice is based on ignorance, and the best way to counterbalance it was with living as an example. That was his reality. This is exactly what Barney Frank was, a living example, a reality that changed minds and moved history. So we honor him today. Next, UK commits £21 million for global LGBTQ plus rights. Now to some genuinely encouraging news from across the Atlantic. The UK government has announced a £21 million commitment to advance global LGBTQ plus rights over the next 3 years. The announcement came on May 20th alongside news that the UK will serve as the host nation for the European International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia Forum, known as IDAHOT Plus, which will take place in London in May of 2027. The funding, which spans from 2026 to 2029, includes a £19.5 million in official development assistance and a £1.5 million and additional funding. According to the UK government, the money is designed to address the root cause of violence, persecution, and exclusion faced by LGBTQ plus people globally, and aligns with the UK's strategic framework on international LGBTQ plus rights. Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Office Minister Chris Elmore said that the investment reaffirms the UK's commitment to defending the rights and freedoms of all people, including those who are LGBTQ plus. The program aims to establish human rights compliant legal framework and support resilient local movements around the world so that LGBTQ people everywhere can live lives that they are equal, safe, and free. A meaningful commitment and a meaningful moment, especially right now. Next, the Elton John Impact Award honorees announce. So some good joyful news, the 2026 Elton John Impact Awards have announced their honorees, and it is truly a remarkable list. Chappell Roan, Orville Peck, Melissa Etheridge, Jonathan Bailey, Laverne Cox, and tennis legend Billie Jean King will all be celebrated at this year's ceremony. The awards, which are considered the first ever podcast award ceremony, were created by iHeartRadio and Procter & Gamble. They will be hosted by Billy Porter and Elvis Duran and will launch on June 1st as a podcast series on the iHeartRadio app and other streaming platforms, alongside an audio special airing across iHeart Pride stations. The Elton John Impact Awards celebrate trailblazing LGBTQ plus community members and prominent allies. We're also giving back to the organization, including GLAAD, the Trevor Project, SAGE, and the National Black Justice Coalition, and others. And a little context on the history here. The first Elton John Impact Award was presented in 2022 as part of the Can't Cancel Pride virtual benefit concert, where Elton John, for his decade of LGBTQ plus advocacy and his work for fighting AIDS, over the past 5 years, Can't Cancel Pride has raised more than $17 million for LGBTQ plus nonprofits. That is a legacy worth celebrating, and congratulations to all of this year's honorees. Next, in Mississippi, a high school accused of altering a trans student's photo. So a story that is equal parts heartbreaking and infuriating. A Mississippi high school is being accused of digitally altering a graduation photo of its 2026 salutatorian, who is a trans masculine, to make him appear more feminine. A May 17th Facebook post from D'Albertville High School congratulating Jonas Hill on his academic achievement identified him by his dead name and included a photo of him in his Army Junior ROTC uniform. Jonas earned salutatorian. He deserves to be celebrated exactly as he is, and yet, according to his reporting, the school appears to have altered his image and used his dead name in a public post. This is not a clerical error. This is a school failing a student who has accomplished something extraordinary. We will continue to follow the story and bring you more as we get updates. Next, Leeds appoints its first openly gay Lord Mayor. Now a genuine historic milestone from Leeds, England, Councillor Stephen Holroyd has been confirmed as 132nd Lord Mayor of Leeds, with his partner Simon Maples serving as Lord Mayor's consort for the 2026 to 2027 civic year. They are the first openly gay Lord Mayor and Lord Mayor's consort in the city's history. The appointment comes during the 400th year anniversary of Leeds receiving its royal charter, making it all more significant. Holroyd was born and raised in Wakefield and moved to Leeds in 2014 and was elected to represent the Ardsley and Robin Hood ward in 2023. His partner Simon was born and raised in Leeds and manages an established LGBTQ plus venue in the city center. Holroyd said that he is looking forward to getting out into the communities, meeting people, and celebrating both differences and common ground. He selected Yorkshire's MES MAC and St. Gemma's Hospice as his charities for the year. History is made, and congratulations to them both. And now Don Lemon on Black MAGA and gay Republicans. Don Lemon has some thoughts, and he is not holding back. On his self-entitled YouTube show, the Emmy Award-winning journalist questioned how gay people can be part of a political party, in his words, that don't believe they deserve the same rights as other Americans. And he went further, addressing Black voters who supported the orange convicted felon in 2024. Lemon said he cannot understand how anyone could be Black and support MAGA right now, given what happened with voting rights in this country. He said the phrase self-hating. He also used the word naive, and for those he has been gentler with, pick me. For context, the orange convicted felon won approximately 20% of the Black vote in the 2024 election, more than double his share from 2020. Post-election analysis suggested he won backing up to 25% of Black men. Don Lemon is saying what a lot of people are thinking. Whether you agree, whether it's framing or not, these are conversations our community needs to have openly and honestly. And I agree with Don. I don't get how you can be gay or Black and vote for, and be MAGA and vote for a Republican. I just don't get it. And now Vermont's senator compares trans identity to bestiality. So a story that reminds us to name something clearly for what it is. A Vermont Republican state senator compared identity to bestiality on the Senate floor this month. Senator Stephen Heffernan, who represents Addison and was elected in 2024, made these remarks on May 15th during a debate on the House Bill 578, an animal cruelty bill. Heffernan, apparently unable to engage with the actual legislation in good faith, used the floor time to suggest hypothetically that if someone identified as an animal, Vermont's new gender identity protections might somehow shield them from prosecution for abusing that animal. He said it out loud, on the record. In the Vermont State Senate, the Democratic lawmaker who introduced the legislation, Senator Tanya Vohasky, responded by simply explaining that the bill actually says that it criminalizes specific physical acts between a person and an animal, full stop. She didn't take the bait, she answered the question and moved on. After that, Tanya made it clear that Heffernan knew exactly what he was doing. She said he was using the same dehumanizing playbook that has been used against LGBTQ plus people for generations, and false and ugly suggestion that queer and trans identity is synonymous with deviance and harm. She is right. That is not confusion. It's not curiosity. It's a deliberate tactic, and we name it as such. Thank you, Tanya, for sticking up for us. And that is your news for today for Friday, March 22nd. Thank you for listening to Listen Up Girl podcast. Today was a heavy one filled with news. We started with an arrest that many in our community have complicated feelings about, and the fall of someone who caused enormous harm under the banner of religion. We said goodbye to Barney Frank, who gave us so much of himself to our country and to his community. And we covered a school that failed a student who deserved better. We also watched a sitting senator dehumanize trans people from the floor of his own chamber. But we also celebrated the UK stepping up with real money and real commitment, Leeds making history, an award show honoring some of the most extraordinary LGBTQ plus voices in our culture, and the community has always been able to hold all of it at once. The grief and the joy, the outrage and the pride, and that is who we are. Thank you so much for listening to the Listen Up Girl podcast. If this episode resonates with somebody that you know, please share it. Please leave a review, because the more reviews you leave for this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, the more people will hear this podcast. I hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend if you're in the United States. I will be taking Saturday and Sunday off from doing the news, but I will be back on Monday with more news. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.